Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Tuesday evening, afternoon, whatever you call it. Joined by my brother Christian. International break. It's the first one since we've done the channel, since we started the channel. How are
I
you?
know, mate.
How are you, Christian? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a bit of a different dynamic, innit? Usually we're moaning about, our respective clubs, and today it's a little bit different. We can, well, I'll say we can be a bit positive. I don't really know. We can get into it, certainly.
Well, I mean, that's it. Obviously, it's the first international break. We did do 2 watch-alongs at the weekend, and obviously we kind of got stuck into both games then. So we thought we'd do a few sort of different episodes that we've not really done before, not centered around United or City. It is international break. Appreciate it. Look, it's Is it friendlies? It's just friendlies in it this week. It's not even. It's not. We're not even
Is
in
that what it
Nations
is?
League.
Yeah.
We're not even in the Nations League, are we? So
Yeah.
England squad. It's the first international break under Thomas Tuchel, who's took over from Gareth Southgate. Carsley did a bit in between, didn't he? But it was never going to be a permanent manager. Tuchel was the guy they picked.
Yeah.
German manager. Obviously, we'll get into his squad and sort of looking ahead to certainly expectations, because I think I've got to be honest, like I've not really since the Euros final, I've just been too devastating to think about England really. Losing another final was gutting, but it's a weird one because every other managerial change has come in and it has felt we've been at the pits as a nation following this team. Just on that alone, does it feel a bit different to you, where it's like he didn't get sacked for being shit? It was just he kind of walked, and I thought a bit of the criticism was over the top for Gareth. How do you feel at the minute?
I think he took us as far as he could, would be the kindest way to put it. I know what you mean. Maybe I was a little bit more critical on him than you were. I do just feel like time was time. I don't think he could get us over the edge. It's a bit like when you see with Arteta. He brought that feel-good factor back, but is he enough to get him over the line? And I think it was the same with Southgate. I don't think he has that that little bit in him, which could just nudge us over and get us a European trophy or get us a... Do you know what I'm saying? I think it had got to that point, and the appointment of Tuchel, has really excited me, because it's a manager with a bit of pedigree, and we've not seen it for a long time, have we? Like, when England have been linked to managers, it just always seems like these fucking bang average English guys that can't really cut a Prem job. As much as we're going to say about Southgate, he's in that category. You're looking at Graham Potter. I know Eddie Howe, we'll get onto that later. He's just won a trophy, but we're talking of, they're not the top echelons, are they? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. I mean, look, there's look, if I'm being brutally honest, I don't love having a German coach as England manager. I would have, if I'm being honest, I would have took Eddie Howe, even if he's not as good a coach. For me, it feels like it's, if you go to a tournament, it's our best against their best. But it's not like that now. It's like, well, where do you stop? Like, oh, well, we haven't got any good fucking left backs. Let's just go and get a French let's get Theo Hernandez in to play for him. It's like a bit like that. Obviously, I get that's never happened, by the way. I'm just meaning we've no good managers, so we've had to go and get a German bloke. Well, where do you draw the line? We're desperate. Or if you're desperate in a certain position. So I don't love it from a position of that, but I get that there was not like you just said, there's not a great crop. How do you feel with them being German? Is there any reservation for you? Are you not bothered?
No, I'm really not bothered. I think it's been made way too much of. I think he's a professional at the end of the day. I really don't think it matters. That you're hearing on TalkSport every day, and they're like going, "What is he going to sing the national anthem?" I don't care. I honestly don't give a shit. That. You know what I mean? No. Whether he does or he doesn't, it doesn't matter. He's going to perform his job to the best of his ability, and that I'm within no doubt. Do you know what I'm saying? So as long as he does fulfil them duties, then that's absolutely fine. If you've got reservations over Tuchel for other reasons, then I'm willing to listen. You know what I mean? Because he has got shortcomings. We've seen it in his managerial career, but he did get Chelsea over the line. Unfortunately, against my team. But I'm actually quite excited. I think it's refreshing. I'm looking forward to it. We've just seen the squads come out, and that's interesting in itself. So I suppose that'd be a good way to segue into that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so obviously his first squad. Yeah, I mean, look, he's coming into a team that has. If we just do the Southgate era in a nutshell, we've got semi-finalists 2018 World Cup loss in extra time. 2020 Euro 21. Let's call it Euro 2021. Finals lost on pens to Italy. World Cup Qatar lost a real tight one to France in the quarters. The eventual runners-up to Argentina. And then, obviously, last year lost to Spain in the final. A late goal, 2-1. Again, so we've got two finals, a semi and a quarters. He's picking them up, a runners-up in the Euros. You can say, fortuitous draw, whatever you want to call it. They were the runners-up at the Euros. What are your expectations for Tuchel as a coach? I mean, I am assuming you're thinking it's win or he's got to win. He's got to win something.
I mean, he has, I suppose, and the contract they've given him suggests that as well, doesn't it? They've not given him a long time, so it's almost like, whether that's on his terms or theirs, I'm not too sure. But it does feel a little bit like you're going to have to come in and win straight away. But I don't think that's necessarily fair. I don't think, for instance, say we get to the semi-final and we see some good football, but we just happen to come up against a really good side and we go out. For me, I'm not going to be sat there going, get rid. I just think that's, it's a bit impatient and childish, and I don't really get it. And then you've got to look at the wider spectrum. We're then going back into the manager market. Who do you move on then? It's the same guys who will moan that then we'll link with Graham Potter. So
it will,
do you know what I mean? You've got to be careful what you wish for. I think we have got to give him time. I would expect him to bring things to the role that we have seen previously with him. For instance, his formation. So that's not going to shock me. And that will, I think, divide a lot of England fans, which is fair enough, because it is a bit of a, listen, 3-4-3 is one of them formations where it does divide most people. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I do quite like it as a tournament system. Southgate's not as good a manager as Tuchel, but he utilised it really well in moments, and he showed flexibility. Southgate was like, look, in the qualifying, I'm going to play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. And then as soon as you're coming up in the quarters, now back to a back three. Yeah. And in fairness to him and the coaching staff and the team, we did not lose any of those games because he went to a three at the back. We lost a very, very tight game, maybe deservedly so. I'm not saying we deserve to win either of those finals. Obviously, one is on pens against Donnarumma, so you're almost already out. The Spain one, we weren't as good as Spain, and I appreciate that. But I don't think it was changing systems. I'm really intrigued as to how he's going to set up, though, in this system, because Southgate found it difficult with the Bellingham, Saka, Foden conundrum. Yeah. You've also then got some other players coming into that now who are playing well, and.
Alex, just a quick one on that.
I just
had a question on that one for you. So, I was a bit critical of Southgate, and now looking back, I look back and I'm a bit not regretful, but I do think I was a bit harsh at the time, looking at the situation he was in. I mean, especially with Foden, I think Foden has carried on this form into this next year. So whereas Foden, unfortunately for Southgate, came off the best year of his career, PFA Player of the Season, and then dropped an absolute stinker. So we all put that down. We all put that on Southgate. We were like, "How the fuck are you not getting anything out of the guy who's the best player in the Premier League?" And then he's then gone and carried it into this year. And I do feel like Southgate must be a bit like, come on, I was absolutely launched on for that. Everyone jumped on me. And to be fair, he did try and fit Bellingham and Foden in. What else was he going to do? I felt like he was in a bit of a lose-lose situation looking back, because everyone was moaning. He's played Foden, he's played Bellingham, so then everyone moans, he didn't play Palmer enough. He could never win, but then if he'd have started Palmer and dropped Foden, everyone would have jumped on him that he's not playing Foden. He's PFA Player of the Year, what the fuck are you doing? I think he was honestly on a right or nothing.
I mean, yeah, you're right, and also a lot of people just didn't generally like Southgate they never actually liked his credentials, and he was almost like you said, he almost had to he had to achieve finals and semis just for people to actually allow
respect,
and even then, even after the Euros penalty shootout, people wanted him sacked for that, and this is how the fine line in tournaments. You win that shootout, the shootout. The manager can't do anything anymore. It's down to the 5 takers and the 2 goalkeepers on either side, and obviously we came up short against Italy.
Yeah.
And Southgate is labelled as a bit of, he's certainly not lauded as the first ever Euros winner in our history. We've only ever won one World Cup in 1966. We never won the Euros. Southgate was 4 or 5 penalty kicks away from winning it, and that's how fine margins are. But even with his success in the final, the semi, I thought his semi-final in the World Cup was really good effort with Lingard, Dele Alli. That tie wasn't very good.
Yeah,
and
no, it wasn't.
I actually thought the France one was very unlucky as well. I didn't think France were very good. I thought we were really unlucky in that. Again, just a tough tie, man. Someone's got to go out ultimately. I do think that Tuchel's going to have more. He's going to be better in game. I think Southgate struggled when it come down to that, but I think he was a great man management, Southgate, and I thought he was very close with the guys, and he built up a great rapport with them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tuchel carries that on, isn't it?
How do you think, Alex, with that? Just you've brought on a good point, really, because England have gone from one extreme to the other. Like you said, Southgate was fucking phenomenal man management. Like, every single player spoke so highly of him. Yeah. Whereas Tuchel is really not known for his man management. If anything, a lot of bad reports come out about it. However, his tactical nous, you would say, far exceeds that of Gareth Southgate's. But where would you say? Do you think it's a bit strange that England have just completely done a 360 on? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think it's a bit of a...
not overly thought too much into it? I'd imagine it was just a name on a sheet and thought, well, Thomas Tuchel makes sense. I am a bit worried because I do think that's a big part of international management is how you treat the players and keep a happy squad. What I will say on Southgate is that in the just certain things that he did really well that I'm a little bit I'm not worried, but I'm interested to see if they continue. So penalty shootouts, Southgate worked brilliantly with sports scientists. We saw it last summer. They took 5 exceptional penalties, and Pickford had a massive list of where to dive on his water bottle. It wasn't just it's a toss of the coin. No, they actually focused on shootouts. Southgate won 2 in major tournaments, and he lost 1, obviously, the final. But Donnarumma, we saw it 2 weeks ago. You could prepare all you want. Donnarumma is an X factor in pens.
He's a monster, isn't he?
So the sports science side of it was clearly brilliant. We'd never win shootouts, and we won 2. I think we might have won 3. Maybe won a Nations League one under Southgate, which is great. And also, the players who come in certain parts of the tournament, an injury or a suspension. Do you remember Mark Gay? He got a suspension for the quarters, and Ezri Konsa came in to play against Switzerland, and he was fucking class. Hadn't played since fucking how long ago? Mark Gay was exceptional in the groups and against Slovenia.
Yeah.
And in comes Konsa. He knows he's just playing 1 game because Gahey will be back in. And he was absolutely outstanding. And this did happen a lot with Southgate, I noticed, where players would come in for 1 game. Trippier utilised brilliantly. These players come in for 1 game and they really turn up. And I just think that, is that down to man management? Is it the relationship? Is Tuchel going to be able to continue that? It's going to be interesting. And look, hopefully, I think, is there any major changes you're anticipating from the Southgate era to the Tuchel era? Could be players, could be like I think the system's going to be quite close. Actually, I think it's going to be 3-4-3 in the big games and 4 at the back in the shitty qualifiers. But is there anything, a specific player here and there that you think, wow, I can see Tuchel really going with that, or are you not? Do you know? I mean, because how far from the
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I actually think it'll be quite similar, which a lot of people might not be happy with that. I really do. I think he's going to come up with the same problems if he is going to go with Foden and Bellingham, which you would expect Foden's form to pick up by the next World Cup. We fucking all hope so. I mean, if it stays like it is, I don't think he'll fucking go. So if he does pick up, then he's going to have the same problem Southgate has, and I don't know how he's going to make that work because the good, I suppose the better thing for Tuchel is that I think the longer it goes into Bellingham's career, we've seen how versatile he is for Real Madrid, and he is fucking unbelievable. That guy's phenomenal. Whereas Foden is not as versatile. We've seen that, so that will probably go in his favour. But yeah, it is a tough one. I think. Listen, him taking Rashford's are quite interesting as well. I think the fact he's taken him in the way he has at this point in Rashford's career, I think tells you he's going to play some sort of role under Tuchel. I really do think that.
I mean, you can interpret that maybe he really, really rated Rashford when he was maybe coaching Chelsea, or even just from the outside looking in, and it's his first opportunity to go, you know what, you're going to be my guy, you're going to be important for me. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, I think that's really interesting. I mean, we could have a quick look at the squad and then probably get into anything. Just before we look at the squad, I have got one thing for you that I do think something I would seriously consider. So there's one thing that Southgate was battling with towards the end of it, and okay, the Foden Bellingham thing was tough at times, but I didn't think it was as bad as the Kane conundrum. The Kane conundrum is every single major tournament, Kane falls off a cliff physically and he struggles. And at the last one, I mean, in fairness to Southgate, he hooked him after an hour in the final. Our captain, our supposedly best striker in history of English football. He's only 30. Was he 30 years old last summer? And Southgate hooked him after an hour to get a goal. And we did. Obviously, Palmer got one after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
In the semi-final, hooked him for Watkins. Watkins scores the winner. So Southgate was getting to that point where, look, you've been my guy, Harry. You're my captain. He made him captain. But it was getting to the point where, well, hang on a minute. What are you getting to the point where, like, you might actually be dropping Kane? Because now it's like, Tuchel's going to pick this up and be like, right, Kane's my guy, clearly. You know, he's going to fill his boots probably going to fill his boots against Albania on Friday. Probably maybe get another couple against Latvia. But then it's the major tournaments where Harry Kane's fitness falls off a cliff. What do you think of this, right? It'd be a big thing to do, right? But just to make it a little bit easier for yourself, because you don't want to drop your captain. Fuck, you don't even want to sub your captain. I know Southgate did it because he had to, because Kane couldn't run. Take the captaincy off Harry Kane, give it to Jude Bellingham now, who's going to be the captain at one point in his career. I know he's young, but he's a leader. Yeah. He's going to play every minute. He's one of our best players. He's got the head for it. Also, might just elevate Kane's game a little bit. You're not the captain. You're not got that stress of being the skipper. What do you feel about that? I mean, is it too much to rock the boat this early, or do you like the proposal in any way? What do you think?
I certainly know where you're coming from, and I do actually agree with your point. I do think that, you know, the reasons you've said it, I can see why it would work, but in terms of where we're at now, I don't think Kane can have it taken off him. And I think the risk attached to it is massive, because then say Tuchel does do that, right? And Kane randomly goes through any sort of tough spell in England, they're going to pin it on that, aren't they? And going to go, oh, well, he fucking took the captaincy off it. So I just think he's got very little to gain and a lot to lose, potentially. But I do agree with you. And listen, Bellingham, it is going to be the captain. It looks like he's just going to have to wait his turn. I do know what you mean, though. And when you touch on this Kane thing, what is the problem with him at international tournaments? There is a much deeper issue here. Why are we going to international tournaments? Every single one, he seems to be absolutely fucked by the quarters, and he can barely run. Like, you're talking, he's flagging before half-time. What is going on? Because when you watch him for Bayern Munich, when we've watched him for Tottenham Hotspur, this is not the case. He can go into extra time if he needs to for Tottenham, for Bayern Munich. So what version of him are we getting, and why are we getting it? What's your take on that?
I think that it's very difficult to win a tournament or get to the final. You know, you play the same number of games as your opponent. Only two teams will progress all the way. You have to play 3 group games and then 4 knockout games. So you play 7 games in a month.
Yeah.
which I think catches up with him on every tournament. I also think he deals with a lot mentally, and there's a bit of mental fatigue in there. And I just think that, it's not just a one-off now. With every single tournament now.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't go far enough in Qatar, but he missed the fucking pen against Hugo Lloris, who can't save pens. Do you know what I mean? It's like
going back to that Dele Alli Lingard tournament, Alex. He was the same then.
His legs went in that. I mean, I believe he did go the distance in that Croatia tie. Obviously, it's a while ago now, but I remember in that game he was not very good. He wasn't very good in the quarters either, was he? Harry Maguire scored a header in that tournament, and I think Ali got a header. So I bet you his knockout goal record. People talk about Cristiano Ronaldo's. I bet you Kane's got very minimal goals from the quarters onwards. I can't think of any, to be honest. Probably a pen, or we got a pen against Holland last year. Yeah, but at open play, I bet he's not fucking delivered, because like you said, he got the pen against Holland. As soon as we were 1-1, it was getting dicey, hooked for Watkins, and then Watkins scores a banger. And then the final, it was like, should he even start? He shouldn't have started. Again, I was annoyed because people were going, Southgate should have dropped him. To your point, it would have been too big of a call, and Spain would have been in the dressing room and just gone, don't care how shit he is, Kane's not playing, and give them a lift. But Kane should have gone to Southgate and gone, I'm not physically right to play this game. He played it, and Watkins had to come on and only got half an hour. So I think there's a physical issue with him playing 7 games in a month, and this is going to rear its head again, mate. And I'm just saying, if you do it now, you're in the qualifiers. Look, Harry, you're a big part of this. Like David Beckham, he got dropped altogether, came back as not as captain. Gerrard was captain, and Beckham was like, I'll always be available for my country. Like, I just think that, look, it's going to happen anyway. Bellingham will take the captaincy in the next 2 years, I'd imagine. If you do it now, you go into the World Cup in a year's time with Bellingham as your captain, who is going to play every minute regardless. He is a lot older than his age, and Kane might just not carry as much. Maybe the mental fatigue won't be as heavy. But I do take your point. Look, I won't like to make that call. It's just the way it ended. I feel Southgate got a lot of criticism. And in reality, he had a tough hand there, because he should have dropped Kane. But how do you do it in that part of the tournament? So that's a big one for Tuchel. I'm really interested to see. And it might not be for 12 months till we actually see him. I have to drop him or sub him. So, I think that's a big one. I think as far as the squad goes, it's about integration of new players for me that are in this squad. That we'll have a quick run through the squad now. Forget the goalkeeper. Pickford's going to play, I'd say, continually. I don't think there's any point in looking at those. Defenders, John Stones' injuries, big concern. He has always somehow got himself...
he always gets himself fit for England. It's just us he don't play for.
Yeah, which is it. Which is crazy. So Mark Gahey, I thought, performed really well. I was really impressed with Gahey. He's going to get a move this summer. He should have. Newcastle should have just paid it. Or was it Spurs or both? I think they were both in for him.
Newcastle were testing, weren't they? What did they want? They did want a lot, didn't they? I think Newcastle wanted to pay 60 or something, didn't they? And they wanted more. But
70 million for Mark Gahey is a lot. I'm just saying, it is going to happen. Palace are going to have to deal at that. I thought he was impressive, man. Because going into that tournament, we were like, who is going to pair Stones? And then, like I said, in the quarters, it was like, oh my God, Gahey's suspended. Shout out Ezri Konsa, who's also in the squad, came in against Switzerland and was fucking class. So Konsa is in the squad. I do like Konsa. I think he's really good. Don't like Jarrell Quansah from Liverpool. Don't rate him at all.
No, I don't.
No idea why he's even in the squad. Jared Branthwaite should be going over Jarrell Quansah for me, and that's not even up for debate. Branthwaite is a considerably better defender, and he's playing every week for Everton. So, do you agree on that?
I don't know where that's even come from that he's took Quansah. Like, that is so random. I think that's the only one. I know if we do have any Forest listeners, they might be very angry about Gibbs White not going. But for me, that's a much bigger one. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't know where he's plucked that from. But listen, he's obviously seen something. But
Livramento is in for Arnold, but again, Livramento's a good player, so no problems with that. Kyle Walker, if he's going a back three, that he's a no-brainer at right centre-back still with his experience. He's still got a decent amount of pace. So if you go in 3 at the back, Walker will play for me. But again, you've got some good centre backs there. You could play in a 3. I think
you've got that Reece. You've got Reece James back. I just wish that lad could get himself fit because he is such a good player. But if it depends what sort of what Reece James you're getting back, I suppose. But it does open up that he could fill in that Walker role as Walker's getting older. So
yeah, Lewis Skelly looks technically really good. So again, right wing back, Lewis Skelly, very possible. Or left wing back.
Do you think left wing back more because we do struggle in that area, don't we? So I think that makes sense.
Because I think Arnold's going to get a go at right wing back now. I think.
He will. Yeah.
But obviously, Southgate tried to hedge Saka there to keep the attack flowing. So obviously, if you do play a defender at right wing back, one of Bellingham, Foden, and Saka is missing out, and that is a fucking call.
He was managing off Twitter in the end when he Southgate. It was just like people were like, just fucking play Saka there. He's like, right, go on then.
Nah, man, it was mad. The last tournament, the changes from game 1 to the final were hilarious. But just obviously devastating weren't enough. But yeah, so I think the defence is okay. Like, look, Concert and Gahey in a 2 worries me a bit. But Stones with either of them, I'm content with a 2. Certainly in a back 3, Gahey, Conter and Walker, I'm absolutely fine with. I think they'd be great, actually.
Just a quick one, Alex. So on that, because this is where I am really concerned, to be fair, because I know I just said it then, and we're joking saying Stones always gets himself fit. I don't really know if we have gone too far with this now. He does seem physically fucked. I just want to check now. I don't know if you know off the top of your head how old John Stones is. I'm just going to have a little look because I don't understand.
He's got to be 30, I'd say.
He's 30, so he's 30 now.
Yeah.
So, he's nearly 31 as well. I think he's nearly 31. So, yeah, I don't know, really, because if we are going in with them two into a major tournament, I think the first big team you're going to come up against, it's just going to be the same old story. Not going to be too depressing, but I think Jared Braithwaite needs to be the one, that next one that steps up. And I think him next to a Gahey, I'd feel a lot more confident. I think Conser, no disrespect, like you said, he did come in and do a good job, but we know his ceiling. We all are aware of where that guy, what he's going to give to us at best. So, that's sort of my take.
I do think without Stones, it is back 3. It might be back 3 from the group stage, mate. If I'm being honest, even with a Branthwaite. I mean, look, Branthwaite's not in the squad, so it's not getting off to a great start. I mean, for him to think he'll even include Branthwaite, something's got to give. Quansah is just a terrible. I don't rate Quansah at all. No, not even shading at Liverpool here. Midfield, okay. So midfield. Well, Declan Rice is the mainstay. Obviously, Rice is as important as anyone in this team because we've nobody even close to him as a DM or 8 or whatever he is, but he's just a pure midfielder. We don't have anybody else. I mean, I'm looking at the alternatives here. I mean, Bellingham, Eze, Rodgers, Palmer, they could be in the forwards category for me. Really.
They're all bloody strikers.
So that leaves Curtis Jones and Jordan Henderson in the midfielder bracket. So Curtis Jones, he's all right, to be honest. Obviously, Mainu started the final. It did look like Mainu and Rice was going to be the midfield for the future, and it might be. I think there's a bit of a road back for Mainu, but again, he did have a nice little run when Southgate brought him in, and there's nobody yet. Look, you can see why. Southgate tried Arnold in the fucking tournament in centre mid. Look at the list. You know what? Is he going to play Bellingham in midfield like that? I wouldn't do that personally, but that's what he might be looking at doing here.
One thing I will say, Alex, right, with the foreign manager coming in and with us not having an English guy, so everyone moaned at Southgate and said he was a mong. But the thing is, what you'll get with a Tuchel is he won't give a shit about the general opinion in England. He won't care if, we all pressured for Mainu to go, which rightfully so, by the way. He should have gone, and he was fantastic there. Yeah. But I'm just alluding to, he will not give a fuck. He will not care. No. He will not care if we all go, Quanta's shit, why are you taking him? You know what I mean? He will not give a shit. We've seen it before with England managers, foreigners. They do not care. No. So
there'll be no pressure.
So I think that's a bit of a worrying factor. Yeah. So that's why I think I really want to see. Unfortunately, it'll coincide with him making you a better team. But with my England hat on, I'd certainly say I want to see an upturn in Mainu's form because that is, if we want to get anywhere, Rice needs him next to him, because I think the drop off from Mainu on top form to a potential Curtis Jones or I don't want to be too harsh on him, but he's mid-level at best, whereas Mainu has a high ceiling. We've seen it.
Yeah,
and I think his individual attributes are much higher of any other midfielder we can put in there.
I mean, Mainu performed really well in the semis and the quarters and the round of 16. I thought he really struggled against Spain, but it's a big step up, and I think the pressure got to Mainu more than the. I actually think the pressure got to Mainu more than the skill issue with Spain. I actually think he was just overwhelmed that he'd been playing 9 months of first team football and he was starting in a Euros final. And unfortunately, this can happen with younger players. It was a tough game. I don't know what we can really take from that night, to be honest. It was just a very, very tough game for everyone, and we nearly got it to extra time. But yeah, looking at the forwards, this is where we've got a lot of players.
Yeah.
So you've got Bowen, Foden, Gordon, Rashford. We'll leave out the two strikers. Rodgers, Bellingham, Eze, Palmer. So you've got a real for those 3-4 positions ahead of Rice and Mainu, hypothetically. Yeah. You've got a real host of and Saka is going to come in. I mean, Saka's probably going to come in on that right hand side. I don't think Palmer's good enough to take that place yet. And also Palmer's playing as a 10. So Palmer is now competing with Bellingham and Foden, whichever one or both plays.
Yeah.
So that's them. And then Rodgers on the left. Yeah, Morgan Rodgers. Could Rodgers play in this team? What do you think?
No, but that's not a reflection on him. I just think it's so unfortunate. I think it's a bit like similar to the Prime Madison. I just didn't see a place for him, and I feel the same with him. But it's even like, if things are going bad, is he going to be brought on? Do you know what I mean? Does he get on ahead of a Bowen, for instance?
Or a Gordon? Because you're going to lean towards Gordon because of pace.
For instance, I think Rodgers, if you're going with a Rodgers, I think you need to start him. I don't think he's the sort of player you bring off the bench. He's not an impact player, is he?
It's difficult because we don't know the system. If you were going to go 4-3-3, you would be able to start mapping it out. But mate, you've got Bellingham. You could really, if everybody's playing well, Bellingham, Kane, Foden and Saka, that's your front four done. So forget it.
I know. This is it. I think this is the problem, Alex. I think the Foden thing. If you're going to play devil's advocate, right, and you go Foden isn't going to pick up form, then that does open it up. So if that does happen, who in your opinion moves in? Who takes Foden's place?
Probably Palmer.
Right.
From my perspective,
as in what position though? Because you're presuming Bellingham's going to sit as the 10. You want him, or do you want him deeper?
Are we? So if we're going to have 4 attackers in whichever system. If it's a 3-4-3, Saka will be that right.
Yeah.
Wing back, right wing, whatever. So that would leave 2 10s and Kane. If it's 4-2-3-1, you've got Saka on the right. I don't know. In a 4-2-3-1, it's going to have to be a left winger. So in that case, that does open, because Bellingham ain't going to go on the left and Palmer 10. It'd be pointless doing that. Yeah. Even though Bellingham could go out there for a bit. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see Eze getting many minutes. I don't see Bowen because Saka's just better.
Yeah.
Left hand side. This is why he's going to go.
Is there a shout for Gordon?
Gordon is.
Dare I say it, Rashford?
Oh, fuck that guy. I don't want to see him on a fucking pitch. I've not... this is the thing. People talking about Villa. I haven't watched Villa because I don't want to watch Rashford. No, man. I think that Bellingham... He's going to go 3-4-3 because of this exact conversation we're having. He's going to go, well, I want Foden and Bellingham. So what do? I'll play him in those 2 10s. Shout out Amarin. And Saka will have to do that hybrid role that Southgate got him doing. So just going back to think about this though, Christian. The Qatar World Cup, you remember the team that played there? It's exactly the same team as really what played in the what's the tournament? The Euros. Do you know what I mean? It's the exact same. Yeah. The only difference was Henderson and Firmino at the Qatar, because Mainu was obviously 16 years old. So it's the last 2 tournaments has been Bellingham, Foden, Saka, Kane. In whichever system you think, unless you think, okay, Foden's fell off for the foreseeable, then you would possibly go Gordon and bring Bellingham to a 10.
Or there is obviously the option that we've not discussed. I'm not saying I agree with this, by the way. I'm just saying it is an option, and we never know what Tuchel's going to do in dropping Bellingham deeper. Now, he is, like I said before, he is versatile, and he is good enough to do it. We've seen it with Real Madrid. I mean, we saw the positions when he's played City in previous legs at the Etihad. Maybe not so much this. Well, to be fair, he did do it a little bit this year as well.
Left of a 4-4-2, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So he is capable of doing it and dropping deep, and he's very useful in there. So, but then it's like Foden is going to have to be absolutely fucking firing, and I mean like last year version of Foden, because you can't be justifying pulling Bellingham back and putting Foden up there currently. That's just not happening. So, or any of the others for that matter. Palmer's the same.
Foden's has not been great for England, really, just in general. He's had little snippets of games where you think, well, here we go. I thought against Holland in the first half, I thought he played well. Hit the bar, and then he had one off the line. It just feels like it's just not happening for him. And he obviously this season at City has shown that maybe he might be a little bit too emotional of a guy, which we've not seen before. And we've seen that for England. Emotional characters, they struggle. You know, Bellingham don't give a shit. Does not give a shit what people think of him. He doesn't. Like, people talk, oh, he's fucking overrated, he's touch, he's a PR merchant. He does not give a shit.
He's the big dog, isn't he? He really is.
That's why he should be the captain, in my opinion. I think, well, he is going to be the captain one day, very soon, in my opinion. But that's the thing with Foden. It's like, try and shut the noise out. Like, you know how good you are. You've seen it at City, but you can't now be collapsing. Look, if you show any sort of cracks with the England media, they are going to fucking break you at every tournament. We've seen it with better players than Foden. Trust me. Do you know what I'm saying? So I hope. Look, I love Foden as a player. Technically outstanding, one of the most technically gifted players we've ever created. And he's got to get it together. I would love to see him and Bellingham coexist. Like you said, it'd be great. And I said,
at the end of the day, Tuchel must have it in his mind. He must be thinking, I can make it work. Tuchel's probably coming in. At the end of the day, we're all looking at this going, Foden's not looking great. But you forget, Tuchel's nothing but an arrogant manager. He's going to come in and go, I will get the best out of him. I'm excited by managing two of the best young players in world football. I will make it fucking work. I'll win a tournament. So he is going to come in with that attitude, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully he can. It's just...
No, for sure, yeah.
He's going to have to figure out how to get the best out of him, because I can't believe we're finding ourselves in this situation where we're like, how do we make our best players fit again? It's like this fucking... How do we always find ourselves in this scenario with England? Why does no one else have this problem? We never see Spain how can we play these three together? How can we fit this system? It just happens.
It's because the other teams are just so cohesive and we're not, and that's the problem. It doesn't matter what we do. Even if we went, right, let's play players in their positions, you're going to downgrade talent, and that's the problem. That you go, we'll play Gordon then. Gordon makes more sense on the left than Foden, but then he won't be very good. So then it'd be like, why are we leaving the PFA player on the fucking... So, like you said, Southgate could not win. I mean, last summer was very difficult. I actually thought the 3-4-3 was a good idea. It brought Bellingham and Foden a bit more central, and Foden had better games. The final was just a real tough one.
I think there was signs that it can work, definitely. We saw on the cusp, it was almost like it was about to happen, and then it just couldn't get over the line with them two. And I feel like, look, maybe a better manager can make that work. Well, listen, at the end of the day, Pep was in for Bellingham. That's no secret. Everyone was in for Bellingham. He obviously thought it could fucking work. It wasn't like he was like, I've got Foden, can't happen. Listen, a top manager, and this is where I think it is the advantage that we've got Tuchel, he will think he can make this happen with them too. And I think it's our best bet, because the other guys, no disrespect to them, and I'm talking about a Rodgers, your Bowens, Gordons, and even Palmer to a certain extent, I don't see that they have got the same level of attributes as them two guys. So I think we've got to make them two work. I think, it's easy. You're going to always get these England fans, and especially you're going to get fans of different teams that, listen, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're going to want Palmer starting over Foden, which is fair enough. But,
it did. Like you said, they got to the look. We lost to a last-minute goal against Spain. For how amazing Spain were, we were in that game. Like, we just gaffed it a little bit. Like we got after the Palmer goal. We should have had momentum and we didn't. And this is the story of England, and as a nation, we just don't seem to capitalise on moments like that. And but hey, look, I think that it's going to be really interesting. I think that you're right. I do think that I think Foden Bellingham thing, I think he will figure something out there, whatever system it is. I think he will figure something out. I think the big one is Kane, because it's another year on. In the World Cup's in a year. A bit more than a year, isn't it? Just over a year. And I think that if you think we're going to go 7 games deep in America in June and Kane leading the line for all 7 of them and playing 100 minutes, 90 minutes or 120, you can fucking forget it.
Yeah, there's no chance.
Dominic Solanke's the backup here. Okay, Watkins must be injured. I don't know what's going on there. We could do with a little striker coming through somewhere, couldn't we, lad? Because
100%.
Look at it, mate. I mean, is he cooking up a false 9? Because, I do like Watkins, but are we going to win a World Cup with Watkins?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I never really looked at it from that point of view. Possibly push. I mean, we've seen Bellingham can do it. Fuck me, his first year at Real Madrid. What did he finish on that? 25 goals. You know what I mean? So, you could say he would be a bit wasted. But the thing is, the advantage of playing a false 9 is he's going to come in, drop deep, and it's very difficult for defenders to know what they're doing because they don't really know what they're up against. And if him and Foden were alternating, and also they'd all be at it, swooping into the middle. So I think. They won the Champions League, didn't it? Yeah, exactly. Do you know one thing where I think we have massively overcomplicated it, and I think it got to Southgate in the end, was we got to a point where I think the media were complicating that we couldn't play systems or certain players couldn't move into different positions. Really, I think a top manager is more than happy to let it be fluid, let it play out. Yeah. Different players go different places all the time. Yeah. So if Foden wants to change, Bellingham wants to change. I think with Southgate, we saw it very rigid. And it was like, it was becoming an issue, I think, in his head, where it was like, shit, one's there. Right, so I've got to move one there. I think a better manager, this is the advantage to it. I think he could definitely alternate them better within games. I think his tactical in-game nows will be much better, and we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, obviously, only a couple of friendlies, I don't know what we're going to massively take from this. With the tournament being so far away, so many things can change in that time. Yeah. Form, injuries. Like I said, maybe a new player coming through somebody's academy would be amazing. A forward, a 9 would be great for us. Or a centre mid to partner Rice, because obviously Mainu is the only real starter and he's had a tough year himself. So, yeah, man, let's...
Or a defibrillator for Harry Kane when it gets to the 45th minute.
Yeah, man. What the fuck, man?
Strapped to an oxygen mask.
Yeah. What is it?
Harry?
Oh, great. We've got to the semis. Fucking our captain can't run.
I tell you, another thing as well, if we get to a penalty shootout, he's never getting there. He's never taking one. And that is one thing we can rely on him for. Well,
he won't be able to lift his legs. Yeah. Well, I tell you, that's one thing Southgate worked on. He deserves massive credit. Okay, we lost the big one, but like I said, I don't know what you do with Donnarumma. If we pull them in if it's in extra time, go for the fucking win.
He's bigger than the net, that cunt. So what do you do?
We were texting when Liverpool were playing him. I said, they've got to win this in extra time. Don't be thinking, shootout, you've got 50% chance. You haven't. You've got about fucking 20, and that's if you nail every pen. Curtis Jones and Nunes walking up with the fucking piss in the pants at the top of the run-up. Yeah, Curtis Jones looked like a little boy. He looked like, when they let a ball boy have a go at half-time? Curtis Jones looked like one of them.
It made me laugh, right? When he missed Nunes and he went back to the centre circle and they all go over to him and fucking apart from Salah, Curtis Jones goes to him, gives him a hug like, "Oh, come here." I thought, because you knew you were fucking next.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. I'm gonna gaff mine. Yeah. Anyway, shout out fucking Donnarumma. Let's hope we never face him again in a shootout, and certainly not in a fucking final, because we know where it's going. But yeah, look, exciting times. I think we've got, as fans, me and you, before Southgate, fucking hated most of those tournaments. They were shocking football, shocking players, shocking managers, and we were going out to all sorts of shit teams. Southgate, for all his faults, brought a little bit of euphoria. We do follow the national team a lot more now, and I hope Tuchel can continue that, definitely.
Mate, do you remember that one we didn't even get to? That was the worst ever. That was the lowest.
Well, 2008 didn't even qualify with fucking McLaren. Steve McLaren didn't qualify. Roy Hodgson didn't get us out the group stages in the 2014. Costa Rica topped the group, and then scraped out the group in 2016 and lost to Iceland. So, look, losing to France in a nail-biter in the quarters.
And Spain and Italy in finals.
Spain and Italy in finals, in very tight finals, and lost to a very good Croatia side in extra time. It was a good era from Southgate, and let's just hope Tuchel can, like you said, get us over the line, bring it home, man.
I think this is the thing, isn't it? Like with Tuchel coming in, he can only one better Southgate by winning it. Like there's no. It's an incredibly hard job. It's weird to say that whoever comes in after Southgate has got a very difficult job, but they actually have, because he did everything but win the tournament. So you've got to get us to finals.
If Tuchel dives out in the quarters, it's a failure. I'm sorry, you've not done as well. You've downgraded from Southgate. I do think in a few years people will look back at the Southgate era a little bit more
with a bit more respect.
I said, I just don't think people ever took to him. I never thought he had the credentials. He failed at Middlesbrough, but anyway, it's in the past now. Let's look ahead. Let's hope Thomas can help us do the job, because we all want it to come home, right?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think it'll be, once we watch that first watch along and we get a better idea of what system he's going with, I think we can jump back on here and we can really discuss and deep dive into.
Are we doing a watch along Friday for Albania?
If you're free, mate, definitely we'll jump on.
Okay, we'll spend a bit of time talking about it more on that, and obviously we've done a 45-minute one here. I thought it was going to be a bit short and sweet, but it's actually good getting into it. I've shut it off since last summer after that heartbreaker, but. Let's see what he can do. Shout out the boys. Let's hope they can go into something next year. Obviously, it's a year off and that, but we'll see what the early stages look like you said.
That's it.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on the first England pod. Appreciate it, Christian. Catch us on next.